Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm David Yakir.
And I'm Susan Keller Horn.
And she got that right. And you're listening to Yak About Today in Film, where you never know where the show will go. So sit back and watch us on your favorite social media app, or get up, put your headphones on, go for a run, and listen to what we yak about today. And you are listening to what is it? Yak About Today in Film. And
yes.
I'm here with Susan Keller Horn, and I'm David Yakir. And Susan, we're talking about the festival, but first I have to tell everybody, if you're watching this on Facebook, then we want to tell you about the festival next week, which starts June 8th, at June 9th through 12th for the festival, June 8th for the special dinner, kickoff dinner for the festival.
And all those passes for all the events, everything are available online at vbfilmfest.org.
And you can go there and you could pick the dinner by itself. You can even pick any of the parties. Each one, you could buy a ticket for any particular party. Should we start off with the parties?
Sure, let's talk about the parties.
What would you like to talk about the parties?
Well, let's start with the opening. Well, no, let's start with Parle-Mer, the dinner.
Okay.
So the dinner is going to be at Grand Harbor Beach Club. It's going to be fabulous. I haven't been fully part of the plans, but I know we're going to have incredible music. We're going to have dueling pianos. We're going to be
Not to mention the wine.
Not to mention the wine. There's going to be wine. There's going to be champagne.
Wine.
It's going to be fun.
By the way, and for those people who like, we're going to have Armagnac that was given to us by one of the vintners too.
Oh, that's so cool. I've never had that before. I'm excited to try it.
Because a lot of people think just because we changed the name from the Vero Beach Wine and Film Festival that we forgot the wine. We didn't. We just made the film festival more serious, but even serious people like to drink wine.
And I'm seriously in love with wine. So we're good. I don't think I could have been involved if we didn't include the wine.
That's right. So as you can imagine, our films start early on Thursday. Oh, by the way, I want to talk about the box office. Sorry, I should have started with this. So for you local people, the Heritage Center is becoming our hub. The Heritage Hub, that's where you're going to get your tickets. The box office opens on the 7th at noon at the Heritage Center. You can buy your tickets. Also, if you have bought your tickets online, you can go in and pick up your passes after 12.
Yes, it's our will call box office. So when you purchase your passes online, that's your receipt. And when you come to us, we should have a whole list of everybody who has purchased a pass, and you pick up your tickets at will call at the box office.
And by the way, if you only bought the Pick 4, which we're very happy about, where you can see any 4 movies, and you decide, I'm going to invest myself in this entire weekend, you can upgrade right there at the box office to the Cinema Premiere. I'm upselling.
Okay, upsell it. Go for it.
the Cinema Premiere VIP Pass, which allows you to do anything at the festival. In fact, VIP passes get you a very special room all to your own. We're calling it the Hidden Cellar. We'll be pouring wine all the time. You'll be able to meet the filmmakers. They'll be coming in. They can go to the Hidden Cellar. You'll talk to some of our sponsors who make this possible. So I think the VIP ticket is a really good pass to buy.
It should be. It's the most fun one. It's the one I get my family to buy. So that's the one that they're all going
But people
with.
have approached me about going to the parties. So we didn't have it on the site originally where you can actually buy a pass to any of the parties. The parties cost about $50 to attend the parties, and you can buy whatever party you'd like to go to. And I believe our first party is the opening party. It's celebrating Vero and Vero Visions. The next night on Friday, we have our grand wine tasting.
And that's brought to us by Varietals and More. They're bringing in all their distributors so that you can have an incredible array of wines to taste. And of course, there'll be nibbles there as well.
That's right. And Saturday, we're celebrating the 80s with
Scott Shannon.
Scott Shannon.
Scott Shannon. So any of you from the New York area may remember Scott Shannon and the Z100 Zoo Crew. It's going to be an incredible party, all based on Z100 the Zoo Crew. And Scott Shannon is going to be here. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's based on a film that we have called Worst to First, which is about Scott Shannon going up to New York and turning this radio station from
the very worst.
The very worst to the very first in 78 days.
That's right. To the most listened to station in the country in 78 days. It's a phenomenal story, and I don't think you have to be from the New York area.
And then we have a closing party, too.
Oh, we have?
We do. We have a closing party. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll do our closing ceremonies of the awards, which will show the films that all the short films that have won during the festival, all the juried short films. They will be shown during our awards ceremony, and then afterwards will be the party. That will be at the Majestic, and the party will be right across the way at Hurricane Wings.
And that's when we'll say goodbye to the 2022 festival and start talking up 2023. Yes.
And that pass is $35, that ticket for that one.
All right. So with us, we have Doug Roland, director of Feeling Through, one of my favorite films, and the documentary about Feeling Through called Connecting the Dots. Thanks for coming, Doug.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So, Doug, why don't you do the rundown of the film and how the documentary is connected to it?
Sure. Well, Feeling Through is a film that is narrative drama, but it is heavily inspired by a real life encounter that I had. And while we were making the film, or as I set out to make the film, I partnered with Keller National Center to make the film, to cast an actor who's deafblind in the film, to play a character who is deafblind. We realized that the process of making the film and the origin of the film kind of was its own story. So I started, tracking that experience as well. So what we ended up with is two films, Feeling Through, which is about this unlikely connection between a teen in need and a man who's deafblind, and Connecting the Dots, which really follows the story of how Feeling Through came to be, from inspiration through the process of collaborating with Helen Keller National Center.
It's really interesting. I think what was so brilliant about the film is, and you did it in such a short amount of time, is the development of the characters and the relationship was perfect. I mean, some storytellers would take an enormous amount of time to tell that story, to watch a relationship grow. But you did it so brilliantly. Was it because the actors had a natural connection? What was it that made it so real, this relationship?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's a lot of things that need to come together, for something to work. And, like you said, I was very fortunate to connect with both Stephen Prescott, who plays Tariq, and Robert Tarango, who plays Artie. And actually the Robert side of the casting is a very central part of connecting the dots, as far as the fortuitous way in which I got to link up with Robert, who plays Artie. But they were both such amazing individuals who also quickly formed a bond with each other. So of course that's really essential. But yeah, beyond that, I think the source inspiration of this was something that really helped craft the moments that led to the intimacy between these two characters.
Can I ask one question? Just tell me if you think it's giving away the film. The story I love is how you cast Artie. You've
yeah. So yeah, I think it's still fun to watch play out. But I think something that you'll see in Connecting the Dots is there wasn't really a blueprint of how to go about and cast an actor who's deafblind. That's a whole other conversation that we could do a whole podcast around, but something that's gotten a lot more attention in Hollywood and in just the filmmaking community has been something called authentic casting, particularly as it pertains to characters with disabilities. So historically, there has not been very many characters with disabilities represented in stories, and B, oftentimes those characters are those roles are filled by actors who are non-disabled, really kind of creating very few opportunities for actors with disabilities historically. Fortunately, that's starting to change. But I knew from the moment of setting out to make, I knew very little about the landscape of authentic casting at the time, but I just knew instinctively that I wanted to cast an actor who was deafblind to play the role. To me, it seemed really the only way to do it. I didn't even really think that much about it, to be honest. But I needed help to do that because I'd never heard of an actor who was deafblind and didn't know where to go. I ended up connecting with and eventually partnering with Helen Keller National Center, who's they're really the foremost institution in the United States for individuals who are deafblind, and worked very closely with them. For the casting part of it, it was particularly Chris Woodfill, who's the associate executive director at HKNC and is deafblind himself, reached out to dozens of deafblind individuals around the country, people who weren't actors, but people that felt like they fit what I was looking for. So part of the process initially was just saying, calling up a bunch of people who had never been hit up for an audition before and explaining what it is we were doing. And from there, we held a casting just like you would for any other role. In this case, about half the individuals were in person and half were remote. But about halfway through our first day of casting, we had a break in our schedule. And one of the interpreters in the room said like, oh, what about Robert? Now that I know more about what's going on here, I feel like Robert might be a good fit for this role. Robert was not on our casting list. He was actually an employee of HKNC and working in the kitchen at that time. So Robert was, very quickly kind of swept up out of the kitchen, finds himself in this room with a guy with a camera, hasn't really been told what's going on yet. We were very fortunate to capture all of this, and you'll see in Connecting the Dots that he instantly starts joking about being a movie star once he finds out what we're doing. And really his charisma and his joy, instantly, made me realize that I really feel like this guy's the right fit for what I'm looking for here. And sure enough, he was, and did an amazing job. So it was just this really wonderful, fortuitous moment of this individual who was not on our casting list, but was just working in the kitchen.
One of the funny moments that I liked in Connecting the Dots was when you said you didn't have enough time to even, you were concerned about not having enough time to work with Robert because they still needed him in the kitchen. So I found that fun. But as far as the film goes, feeling through, I watched it again this morning. I cried again. I mean, it is one of those films that just really touch you.
Amazingly touching.
I mean, it is so authentic. Mm-hmm. The connection between the characters, and thank you for bringing that to us. Tell us a little bit more.
No, we should go to commercial.
We should?
To a break.
Okay.
I think somebody's paying the bills here, so we really should go to
All
break.
Right. Before we do that, vbfilmfest.org is where you get your passes, and you get to see this wonderful, wonderful film, Feeling Through, as well as Connecting the Dots.
All right, we'll be right back.
Dr. Stephen Tate offers the safest and most efficient technique for customized cataract surgery. Patients are personally counseled on the best approach for their needs and lifestyle. From multifocal lenses that allow for distance and reading vision to toric lenses that correct astigmatism, let New Vision Eye Center guide you safely through your options. For world-class eye care on the Treasure Coast, visit newvisioneyecenter.com.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats, and chairs, including lots of slipcover styles from Universal, Four Seasons, and Capri. We also have a gallery of Tommy Bahama and Lexington furniture with styles designed for a relaxed approach to the finer things in life. Right now, we're having a summer sale with lots of great markdowns, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in Vero Beach next to Planet Fitness. Family owned and operated since 1991. Don't forget to visit our outlet and closeout store directly across the street and visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture brightens up your day. Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. Ooh, have a sunshine day. Sunshine.
Wild, untamed, hilarious. Riverside Theater's Comedy Zone. Experience the Treasure Coast's best stage for live stand-up comedy this Friday and Saturday night at 7 and 9 p.m. You'll laugh till it hurts. Start your night at Live in the Loop with live entertainment, food and drinks, and after, be entertained with nationally ranked comedians, including an opening act and headliner with cabaret-style seating and food and drink table service. Get tickets at riversidetheater.com.
And we are back. I'm David Yeck here with Susan Keller Horn, and you're listening to Yak About Today in Film. Before we go back to Doug, I just want to remind everybody that for the last almost 9 years, New Vision Eye Center has been sponsoring this podcast. So we thank them. And you know how I feel about them, especially since I just got new glasses.
No, they're so cool.
And new, a new eye check and all that. They take really good care of you. And I wouldn't trust my eyes to anyone else. So really, if you got eye problems or anything, go see New Vision Eye Center. Hey, Doug, I have a question about the casting of Tariq. You said that this was your personal experience, right? How did you go about casting Tariq? What was your thinking there? This, I know you have to go.
Yeah, well, no, sure. I think the biggest thing, and I make this important distinction. The film is heavily inspired by a real life encounter, but it is ultimately a story of fiction. There are certain elements of the story that are really directly inspired by my encounter, and other elements that have really nothing to do with it. I think a lot of the creative process, when you set out to make something, particularly something that is inspired by something that happened to you, is to understand ultimately, why it is, what is compelling about that makes you want to tell that story, but ultimately what the story is that's demanding to be told. And sometimes, those start to branch off in slightly different directions. And that's what happened in this case. I think my earlier drafts of the script were probably that much more close to my own experience. And there were things, once I started to get into the story that I was exploring narratively, that started to, very much elements were diverging from my own experience. So, the character of Tariq in certain ways embodies aspects of me, but in many ways is very different from me. And the story that ultimately I was trying to tell was something that in certain ways very much encapsulates my own experience. In other ways, goes beyond that. So that's why the central character is not someone that was cast to be exactly me. But finding Stephen Prescott, particularly, who plays Tariq, was such a gift, because he's such an amazing and talented guy who, really came in at the 11th hour. I'd seen a lot of actors who were great, but just didn't really feel like the right fit for this story. And Stephen was one of the last actors I saw for the role, and was so pleased when he walked in the door, because he was, I knew the instant he opened his mouth, I was like, we got him. We found the guy.
I know you got to go, Doug. We really appreciate it. And by the way, you're pretty authentic yourself.
Well,
thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry you won't be here, but we're looking forward to showing your film and sharing it with our audience. And believe me, everyone should go to this film. It will make you cry, but you'll be happy tears. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful.
And really, the documentary part is fantastic. I mean, you really do need to see them both.
Yeah, well, they're shown together. That's why.
That's right.
So thank you again.
All right. Take care, Doug. We'll see you
Thank
soon.
you so
See you
much.
soon. So David, we need to talk festival. Let's start with vbfilmfest.org. Go there. That's where you're going to learn how to fest. So on our page, you can look up the schedule and see where all the films are listed. But even before that, you might want to go look up the films. We have trailers for many of the films. There's descriptions of the films, so you can kind of figure out what you want to do. If you like shorts, we have an incredible array of shorts programs that you can watch, from dramatic shorts, comedy shorts, and boy, you will laugh. We have documentary shorts. We have Vero Visions, which are all shorts, and it's all local filmmakers. And that is on the first showing of that is Thursday, the 9th at 5:30 p.m. at the Theater Guild. It'll be an incredible, wonderful program celebrating our local filmmakers. But go online, figure out where you want to go. We need to talk about the venues. Let's tell people where they're going to be going to see these films.
You know, I do want to follow up on what you were talking about. So this is how I would approach it. So online, you can see the listing of all the films. And again, like Susan said, if you click on them, you may get, I think we do have the trailers for most of them. You can watch the trailers. And what you should do is look carefully at the schedule, because you may pick films that conflict, but our films usually show twice. So I would lay out the schedule of films. So if you're a pick 4 buyer and you have 4 films, look at the films, see where they're playing, and, chances are you can pick the 4 films. If you're a Cinema Select or a Cinema VIP pass holder, then, you have all the films. You can see all the films. But again, if you go and look at the trailers and you find the ones you'd like, look at the schedule and write it all down. And what might happen is certain films get buzz, Susan. All of a sudden you start hearing it and, you run in and look at the schedule. And that'll lead us into the venues, because it's the Heritage Hub that is the centerpiece of the festival.
So at the Heritage Hub, that's where the box office will be. That's where you'll pick up your passes. It's a will call pickup pass situation that starts, as we said earlier, Tuesday the 7th at 12 noon till 8 p.m. and Wednesday from 12 noon to 8 p.m. for if you're local. You can pick up your passes early. Otherwise, the box office will be open from 8:30 till 5 from Thursday through Sunday. Well, maybe not as late as 5 on Sunday. But so that's where you get your passes. That's where you pick them up. If you haven't purchased them online, you can purchase them there, but it takes more time. And so we're much better off if you can buy them online. But you will also get a program. So the program will lay out the festival schedule in a little bit of a different way than that we have it online, where it'll be a grid that will show you, all the venues and all the times and what films are showing against each other. And it's really a great way. Once you've picked out your stuff that you've looked up online, you can go through there. But you know what else you can do? You can just decide at the last minute, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. You do not need to be fully organized ahead of time. And like David said, some of the films will have a buzz and you might change your mind as to what you're watching. There's nothing that tells you can't do that.
We never talk about how special our venues are. I mean, the Heritage Center is a, 100-year-old building. And we're going to be in the Executive Courthouse, which was the old courthouse. In fact, it was really interesting. I took a tour of it, looking at how the seats were going to be set up in the stage and the screen. And I didn't realize they showed me how the courthouse was divided in the old days, and the different kind of judges and where the judges' chambers were. So it's an incredible venue. We have the Women's Center.
The Women's
Club.
Women's
I've
Club.
been making that mistake forever, right? That, again, it's a historic building. And if you don't know a little about the Vero Beach area or Indian River County, Bellsmere had the first women's suffrage group of people, and they got voting rights about 5 years earlier than and the
Well, let's get back to the venues. Let's get back to the venues.
Women's Club.
Yes. The Women's Club. And the Women's Club, the Executive Courthouse, and the Heritage Center are all in walking distance of each other. And then just a couple of miles away, we have the Theater Guild, which has 2 theaters for us now. They've opened up this little space that they call the Black Box. We're calling Theater Guild 2. So we have films running in both theaters, at Theater Guild and Theater Guild 2. And we also have the county chambers, and that's in Building A at the administration building, and it's a wonderful venue. So vbfilmfest.org, and we look forward to festing with you.